The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of CNS Channel 6.
Hello again, Guyana, and welcome to another edition of Facing the Nation. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us last week. I apologize, I wasn't here live, but I know you got a rebroadcast, of course, of that program with Miss Marva Langevine and the Deputy Mayor Akeem Peter. And I know most of you have been messaging and you were telling me how you were so proud of our young people. So you did enjoy that rebroadcast. So thanks for always staying with us. Today, I'm dealing with, now we're going to begin with another young person, and she's been making the rounds recently. Of course, she's no stranger to Guyana, no stranger to politics, but she's been making the rounds recently because so many people are excited and happy that she's taking on another task, and many of us hope that she's successful. So today, we're dealing with PNC's business, the People's National Congress Reform. As you know, our party's 20th Biennial Congress is coming up on the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th of this month. So we're all excited and preparing for that. These are things that we're very, very proud of, and I like to remind the people that the People's National Congress Reform is the largest political party in our government. So we're extremely proud, and the young lady that I'm going to introduce to you now she's much more proud, and I'm happy to have her on this program for the first time, and I'm trusting it wouldn't be the last time. Miss Thandi McAllister, welcome to Facing the Nation.
Thank you, Malika, and I'm grateful for the invitation.
All right, and I'm happy that you accepted.
And be assured that this will not be the last time.
All right, great. Now today, for now, we're talking all things Thandi. Just to let you know, we've also extended an invitation to the minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Ms. Annette Ferguson, who has also accepted the nomination for Vice Chairperson of our party. She's not here as yet. We trust that she's going to get here soon, but you know how it goes when you're dealing with government business. I should also at this point to mention, and for those of you who follow me on social media, the Director of Sport, Mr. Christopher Anderson Jones, he has also accepted the nomination, and I know he's also another favorite, but what we're going to do is we're going to try to have him on our program next week. So a lot of great things to hear about the PNCR. So today, Thandi and I will be talking about that, and we'll be talking about all things Thandi.
Yes.
Thandi, congratulations, and not only as a young person, but as a woman, I thank you for accepting the nomination for Vice Chairperson. And let's talk. I want to hear about you. And as I said, all things Thandi. What prompted you to accept the nomination? And first of all, what does it mean to you to be, nominated for such a prestigious post in our party?
Thank you, Malika. Malika, I have been away on studies for prior to accepting a nomination for 9 months.
Okay.
And so it came as a surprise to me when I was notified by party secretariat that I've been nominated by members of the People's National Congress as a candidate for the vice chairmanship of the party. It was a surprise. I'm humbled and I'm grateful. But it also indicates to me, and it should indicate to the young members within the party structure, that the membership is confident in our ability to lead. And for that, I am forever grateful. Because the People's National Congress Reform has always been a party that embraced youth, youth development, and youth empowerment. And it has never been bereft of talented, intelligent, vibrant young people. For me, my memory goes back to Supriya Singh, Comrade R.T. Rick Knott, Comrade Andrew Hicks when he was national chairman of the Guyana Youth and Student Movement, which we both know is a youth arm of the People's National Congress. Comrade James McAllister and Comrade Joseph McAllister. And so the party has a legacy of always fielding bright, intelligent, vibrant young people. And that has not changed.
And I'm happy that you said that, because I also want to talk about the fact that you're one of the youngest members who also sits on the CEC, the Central Executive Committee. Even before we talk about that, you mentioned YSM. Let's talk about your time in the YSM and really and truly what has that done, not just for the party in the youth arm, so to speak, but what has that done for Thandi, giving you the confidence. And you did say, and I know even before you were away studying for 9 months, you previously would have been away doing your law.
Yes.
Pursuing studies in your legal education. And I would want you to talk about that, because some people, why, and viewers, these are not my sentiments. I'm just saying it how some people say, why come back to Guyana to deal with the PNC when I went abroad and studied and I can go here, there, and everywhere? Let's talk.
The PNC is home for me. Guyana is the land I love. My orientation began and is continuing when I was 12.
Very tender age.
Very tender age. So in the community of Iflat, I was a vibrant child, a lot of mouth, as we would say. And so
viewers, she still has a lot of mouth.
It's a late Comrade Neville Mounter, in fact, who introduced me to the work of, introduced me to political activism. So it started for me in the community, in a party group. And nothing, Malika, can replace that. Not for me.
It's a foundation.
It is a foundation. It is one of the strongest foundations I've had. And if I am asked to change anything in my life, I will never change that. And being a member of the People's National Congress Reform, because I have learned so much. So a lot of the benefits derived from membership of this great party is the learning.
I want to talk about the 12 year, and I know you have a lot. There's a lot going on with Thandi, so she has a lot to share with us. But what I want to talk about for now is the 12-year-old Thandi, and the reason I'm asking these days, I can't envision it. You going up to a 12-year-old today, 12-year-old that is into the gadgets and everything techie, and telling them, you should join this political party, or we have this group meeting for young people. Mind you, keep in mind the 12. So I want to talk about the 12-year-old Thandi. What, apart from someone approaching you, what then that you think we can bring into today's life and probably get, because we need them, and probably push younger persons into politics, preferably the PNCR's politics. How do we do that?
Malika, we are dealing with two different eras. This is what, 2 generations ago? Yeah, 2 generations ago. Or maybe a generation and a half. Forgive my math, I did law.
I understand. I'm there with you.
So the 12-year-old Thandi was not the techie Thandi. We didn't have that. So the 12-year-old Thandi had her orientation, my introduction to public space within the community. I'll say a poem here, according to my grandmother was a recitation. So ever so often I was asked to do a recitation, couldn't refuse. And then I have grounding in Mashramani, a competition. So there's dramatic poetry and elocution and debating and so very active childhood. So when I was asked to chair a meeting.
At 12?
Yes, at 12. A former leader and the late Hugh Desmond Hoyt, would have attended that meeting. And so I had the It was a luxury.
For
It was
me-
quite an experience.
Yeah, I would have
to
described that as
introduce.
nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Huh.
No,
No,
it
you
was
weren't.
not nerve-wracking.
Okay. Go ahead. See,
So,
viewers, you're
to
seeing the
introduce-
leadership
so
qualities
that was
coming out.
that was my orientation. And then, I followed the party at the level of the community in the party group. And then 2 years later, when the Ghanaian Youth Student Movement came in, I remember it was Comrade Walks, Mark
Okay, Mark
Walks,
Walks.
who came. I believe he was regional chairman of the youth arm at the time, Region 3, and he came to form the group. And the response was overwhelming.
Okay.
This was 1996.
Mhm.
Yep. And the response was overwhelming. And this was a party in opposition.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that party in opposition at that time was attractive for the youth of that time.
Ah.
And so for me to say we need to bring that same attraction forward, I would be lying to myself. It will not work.
Can we do?
Generations have evolved. Our young people are different from the 12-year-old Thandi in 1994. And so what we need now to do as a party, as a viable political entity, in order for us to maintain that viability, we need to increase the youth voice in the Central Executive Committee of the party.
Lovely. And that brings me to my next question, or I should say next point. You currently sit on the CC, as I did say before, viewers. She's one of the youngest members, if not the youngest member, sitting on the CC. There's some competition with the boys. You know, I go boy girl here. There's James Bond and Chris Jones, and I think Ryan Belgrave also. What is that experience like? And what would you say, and I'm going to come to some of the naysayers, because, you know, people on the outside always talk. You hear things, you hear people say that it is controlled by the older folks, there's not a proper voice for the youths and so on. What has been your experience as a young person sitting on the CC, especially female too, young females?
I think I'm maybe one of two young females sitting on the CC. And I sit as the representative for my region, region number 3. And so, like everything else, there are challenges. And sometimes there can be difficulties in coordinating the youth voice.
Understood, yeah. Understand.
Because when we look at the ratio of youth to the adults, or the older members of the party who sit on that CC, then there is an imbalance. I'm not asking for equality in numbers, but there must be some equity.
Understood.
Yes.
Understood.
And so this brings me to the point where I believe, Malika, and it's one of the things that for which I will advocate and work intently towards achieving once elected vice chairperson, is an amending of the party's constitution to strengthen the party's democracy. Because as far as I'm aware, the People's National Congress reform is the most democratic political organization in this country.
Perfect. Agreed.
Every member has the opportunity to lead, has the opportunity to seek office. And that democracy, for me, is what has kept the PNCR as a strong and viable political entity that it is. But, as always, there is always need for an evolution. Not so much a revolution, but the party has to evolve with the world. Much has changed since 1957. 61 years later, then we must adapt to those
Adapt
changes.
to the changes.
And so I would advocate for a strengthening of the democracy of the People's National Congress reform through an amendment to the Constitution, so that we will have sort of a surety that there will be equitable representation, not only from the Guyana Youth and Student Movement or the youth of the party, but also the Congress of Women.
All right, great. Viewers, if you're now tuning in, today we're dealing with PNCR's business. I am currently talking to Ms. Thandi McAllister, of course, and she has a flow, so I don't want to break her flow. I know earlier I promised you that one of the other persons, I should say, who has also accepted the nomination, the minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Annette Ferguson, I promised that she'll be here, but she's already here. But because I don't want to break Thandi's flow, and I'm stealing some of Thandi's energy, what we're going to do, we're going to have the minister on in the second half of the program, but for now we'll continue our conversation with Ms. McAllister. Thandi, I want to talk about you a little bit more, because there is a law, and I know you recently spent 9 months overseas. Let's talk about how are those studies and everything contributing to your development, and how you can use all of that to not only contribute to the party, to country, and then eventually I may ask you if you have presidential aspirations someday. Go ahead, Thandi.
I think that is no secret, Malika.
Go ahead.
Perhaps for 2030?
2030, all right. All right,
Let's see how
my
it
vote
goes.
is there, and anyone else who has presidential ambitions, don't come for me. Do not come after me, because Thandi told me first. So, it's only right that she's only fair that she
first serve basis. I see. Well, thank you. Thank you, Malika.
Okay, great.
Thank you. You have increased my quiet confidence.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we like that.
I've always said, Malika, and this is something I've learned from, I tell you, the PNCR has really been a learning ground for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from, again, another late great, Comrade Derek Bernard,
Okay.
who said to me, I think this was in 2006, Comrade McAllister, if you are to give selfless and efficient service to this party, and by extension the nation, you must first invest in self. And I took that and I ran with it. And I've always had a passion for law. I had an interest. And then I started the law program. I developed a liking and really a strong interest for maritime law. And I would have said to my colleagues during my period of study at the University of Guyana that one day I will be one of Guyana's most premier maritime lawyers.
There you go.
And so I did the law degree, the LLB. Then I went on to Hugh Wooding. I completed the LEC with honors.
Yes. There's that quiet confidence and quiet pride.
And then 2 years following, I enrolled at the IMO International Maritime Law Institute in Malta,
Mm-hmm.
and where I pursued the master's degree in international maritime law.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And I have learned, Malika, that self-investment is worthwhile. It is worthwhile, and it also demands sacrifice. So, but I feel more positioned to aid the party's growth and development.
Yes.
Because the contributions of the youth is what the party's development is dependent upon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So our young people who are within the party have a responsibility
To
develop themselves. It is the only way that we will ensure continuity of the party's viability. The People's National Congress reform has to be the choice for the electorate. And it can only do that if we have qualified, competent, and committed persons within its ranks.
Indeed, indeed. As I speak to you, I know and this may come across as a silly question, but I feel the need to ask it so that your response can be placed out there. In the event, we're not expecting that, because I know a whole lot of young persons have already jumped on board. And for those of you who follow me on social media, you'll see that the excitement is there and thus far I can tell you, I have been focusing on promoting 3 of our candidates thus far for vice chairpersons, and that's because some of us are trying to focus on the positivity that the youth can bring. And I know people are rallying around you, but in the event that you are not elected or elevated to a vice chairperson, you're already a member of the CEC. Again, it may sound like a silly question, but let people know why it is important, even for members who don't have these titles, these big titles, to still contribute toward the growth of the party.
Malika, there's no silly question, except the one not asked.
Not asked.
But I'm happy you asked that question, because on this journey, for me, there can be no loss. It's either I win or I learn.
I like that.
And that has always been my attitude in life, in everything that I do, and even within the People's National Congress reform. Because I have held various offices within the party's structure. Yes, I came through the ranks. That has been established. And I remember contesting at age 15 the post of regional chairman of the GYSM, Region 3. And I lost to Comrade Walks. But in my accepting the nomination then, as it is now, I am of the firm belief that it sent a message to other young people that there is room for elevation within the party, there is room for development, that our young people have a presence, and that presence is not only acknowledged by the leadership of the party, but it is also acknowledged by the rank and file. And so it is important that our colleague young people see us, both you and I, and all the other youth candidates, not shying away from responsibilities. If I were to, and I want to make this point, if I were to say to the Secretariat that I do not intend to run, for me, having been away for 9 months and saying to the membership of the party, I am not ready, when they believe that
you are
yes,
ready, yeah, it's an insult.
You're ready. I think it would have been an insult to their belief in my abilities to sit within the leadership of the People's National Congress reform.
Okay.
Like I've said before, the party has never been short of intelligent, vibrant, committed young people. And that is not about to happen.
Indeed. I know I have yours, unfortunately, again, because as I told you, she has a flow. I have to prepare to wrap up my conversation with you. But Thandi will be back, as she promised earlier. But before I do that, I want you to leave something, and this is even outside of party politics, but I want you to leave something with our young people in general, our young citizen. And one of the reasons I'm asking you to do that is because there are some sections on social media, and let me just say this off the bat, I quite agree with His Excellency, the President. Some people are up in arms with the statements that he made recently that, we should try to move away from the lime. And I think people took it out of context, but we'll try to move away from the liming and so on. And like I said, I quite agree because we understand where he's coming from. Against that statement, Thandi, what would you like to say to young people in terms of the fact that they should basically straighten up and fly right, because that's what he's saying. What would you like to leave with them?
Malika, we have to set priorities as young people. We have to prioritize our life. We have to set clear objectives. And then we have to make the necessary sacrifices. We need to commit, and we need to work towards achieving those objectives. Life will never be handed to you on a platter. Maybe to some of us,
That
but
never turns out well.
to the majority of us, life is not going to be handed to us on a platter. And so we need to work, and we need to work hard.
Yeah. Indeed.
At the same time, those of us, you and I, and so many others, we have to advocate for the appropriate systems that will accommodate the commitment and the hard work of our young people.
Yeah.
In as much as they'll be pushing forward, there must be someone there with a helping hand.
Perfect. I think that's a perfect point to end on, only for now. Thandi, it has been a pleasure of yours. I did say that this is her first time on Facing the Nation. I know it won't be the last, because she can tell you I've been ringing her phone for the past 2 weeks, so I will continue to do that. But Thandi, it was lovely. It was a delight. It was a pleasure having you on Facing the Nation. I want to wish you all the best. Of course, you do have my support. You know that. You know that from the beginning, not only as a young person, but the viewers, you always know I am pro-woman. It is time. It is time for us to be able to, break those glass ceilings. So congratulations, Thandi, as a young person and as a young woman. I'm very, very, very proud of you. And that is coming not only from me, but from so many other persons who may not be able to make contact with you all the time, but would have asked for me to give you my best wishes. And again, you are refreshing at this point. Not that the Honorable Minister, because she's in the other room watching, not that she's not refreshing, but she's always out there. But Thandi, even though not new, it is refreshing to see Thandi in the eye of the public again. So thank you so very much.
So thank you very much, Malika, for having me, and thank you to your viewers. I want to say thanks to all those persons who would have reached out to you to send their support and their love. I am also grateful for the support that I've received from our comrades, the general membership of the party and the Guyana Youth and Student Movement, and even non-members and some non-supporters of the party as well. So I am very grateful, and it has increased my quiet confidence.
There you go.
And yes, I will be back.
All right. Great, Thandi. All right, viewers, what we'll do, we'll take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we'll be chatting with one of the other candidates for Vice Chairperson, the Honorable Annette Ferguson, and we'll also try to get some information from her regarding some of the progress that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure would have recently made. Of course, you know that's for all of our well-being. Stay with Facing the Nation.